In a life he barely remembered, Tiao Duong had been a ghost in a machine, a man who worked until his heart gave out, trading his years for a meager salary. He had died chasing a dream that was never his, only to be reborn into a nightmare. Here, in this world of martial prowess and imperial intrigue, he was the 9th prince of the Tranbok King's mansion, a title that was more of a mockery than an honor. He was the family's afterthought, the talentless son of a concubine who had died in childbirth, leaving him with nothing but the contempt of his 8 older brothers. They were dragons among men, each blessed with innate talent and powerful backing. He was a worm, a waste of space, a political pawn waiting to be sacrificed. His past life was a blur of fluorescent lights and overtime. His new one was a gilded cage of neglect and scorn. He had no golden finger, no cheat system, no hidden master to guide him. Good fortune was a stranger to him, but misfortune was an old and intimate friend. He lived with a gnawing fear that one day the brutal game of succession, the 9 sons dragon scramble, would see him crushed underfoot, an insignificant casualty in his brother's quest for power. That day arrived sooner than he expected, delivered on a scroll of imperial silk. An imperial edict! The cry echoed through the grand hall of the king's mansion. His father, the Tranbok King, sat on his throne-like chair, his face a mask of stern authority. His brother stood arrayed before him, proud and unyielding. The edict was simple and devastating. A marriage alliance was to be forged between the House of Tiao and General Ning Hung Da. A collective shudder went through the princes. Ning Hung Da, the name was a curse whispered in taverns and a terror invoked on battlefields. She was the female demon, a living legend who had clawed her way to the highest echelons of the military through sheer brutality. Rumor had it she had slaughtered an entire city and, in a fit of monstrous rage, had even murdered her own father. Her face, they said, was a ruin of battle scars, a grotesque visage she kept hidden behind a fearsome mask. His father's gaze swept over his sons. The emperor has commanded it. Who will marry General Ning Hung Da? The first to speak was Tiao Quan Lam, the eldest and most favored son, the pride of the family. He possessed the legendary Tri-Tone Coat, a supreme bone that marked him as a future powerhouse. Father, I am the latent dragon of our house, destined to be a marquis, a general. My future is boundless. That woman, she is a patricidal, disfigured monster. I would rather die than marry her. The other brothers quickly followed suit, each with a ready excuse. Father, I already have wives and concubines. I cannot take another, one pleaded. My Kim Kong Dong Tu Gong cultivation forbids me from breaking my celibacy, another claimed, his face a picture of pious regret. One even brazenly declared, Father, you know I have no interest in women at all. Each of them, these paragons of the Tiao clan, found a reason to refuse. Marrying the female demon was a political death sentence, a stain on their pristine reputations. Their eyes, one by one, turned to the silent figure at the back, Tiao Duong, the 9th son, the one who didn't matter. Father, Tiao Quan Lam said, a cruel smirk playing on his lips, I believe our 9th brother is the most suitable. A chorus of agreement rose up. Yes, yes, 9th brother is perfect. The weight of their combined gaze fell on Tiao Duong, heavy and suffocating. What? You want me to marry that demoness? He stammered, his heart sinking into a pit of despair. It was just as he'd feared. He was the sacrificial lamb, the trash to be taken out. But as he looked out a window, his despair was momentarily distracted. A procession was moving through the capital streets, led by a figure on horseback. A woman in dark armor sat ramrod straight, her posture more regal than any courtesan in the palace. Her waist was impossibly slender, and the hand that held the reins was both elegant and strong. "Look at that figure," a guard whispered nearby. "Even the palace dancers can't compare." "Are you insane?" his companion hissed. "That's her. That's Ning Hongda, the female demon who killed her own father. If she heard you, she'd cut out your tongue and use your skull as a wine cup." "So that's why she wears the mask," the first guard murmured, paling. "They say her face was hacked to pieces on the battlefield, that she looks like a yaksha from the underworld." Tiao Duwang's focus snapped back to the hall, the words of his brothers ringing in his ears. This was it. The end of his already miserable existence. Just as he was about to refuse, to scream his defiance even if it meant death, a cold, mechanical voice echoed in his mind, a sound no one else could hear. Host detected in a forced marriage scenario with conquest target, the peerless beauty Nin Hongda. 10,000-fold return system activated. As long as the host gifts items to the conquest target, the system will provide 100-fold, 1,000-fold, or even 10,000-fold return based on her favorability towards you. Bound target possesses a unique attribute. Once bound, the bond cannot be broken. Bind? Yes, no. Tiao Dong's mind reeled. A system? A golden finger? After all this time, he didn't hesitate for a second. Bind. Binding successful. Special reminder, conquest target's appearance is that of a peerless, nation-topping beauty. Happy gaming, host. The world seemed to sharpen, to come into focus. Peerless beauty, not a disfigured monster. A surge of adrenaline, of desperate hope, shot through him. This wasn't a death sentence. This was a lifeline. This was his one and only chance to climb out of the abyss. His father's impatient voice cut through his thoughts. "Ninth son, what is your decision?" Tiao Dong straightened his back, a fire igniting in his eyes that no one in his family had ever seen before. He looked at his smug brothers, at his indifferent father, and a slow, determined smile spread across his face. "Father," he announced, his voice clear and steady, "I want to marry Nin Hongda. I must marry Nin Hongda." A stunned silence fell over the hall, broken only by the grand entrance of the subject herself. "General Nin has arrived." The door swung open, and she strode in, her presence sucking the air from the room. Her armor was black as midnight, and the demonic mask she wore seemed to drink the light. The aura she exuded was not of a woman, but of a walking calamity, a storm of steel and death. "Look at that killing intent," one of his brothers whispered in awe and fear. "Ninth brother, your luck is truly magnificent." Tiao Dong ignored him. His eyes were locked on the masked woman. "This is not my doom," he thought, a thrill running down his spine. "This is my future, my brilliant, shining future." Nin Hongda's gaze, cold and sharp even from behind the mask, swept over them all before settling on the king. "Lord Tranbach," she said, her voice like the grating of a sword being drawn, "I have come today to annul this marriage." Tiao Dong's heart leaped into his throat. "No, the system is already bound. If she leaves, I'm finished." The king replied cautiously, "The marriage was decreed by His Majesty, the Emperor. How can we defy it?" "I will explain it to His Majesty myself," she stated flatly. "I will bear any and all consequences." Besides, her voice dropped, laced with a chilling self-loathing, "I, Nin Hongda, have slaughtered cities and bathed my hands in the blood of my own kin. Even if I were willing to marry, which of your precious sons would dare to have me?" A heavy, fearful silence answered her. Her reputation was a shield no man dared to breach. But then a voice, calm and resolute, cut through the tension. "I dare." All eyes turned to Tiodong as he stepped forward, placing himself between his family and the fearsome general. He bowed slightly, not in fear, but in respect. "General Nin," he said, looking directly at her masked face, "I am not afraid. In fact, I wish to thank you. Thank you for slaughtering our enemies on the battlefield, for protecting our great Shah. Such meritorious service. What crime is there in that?" A flicker of surprise, of something unreadable, passed through her posture. In his mind, Tiodong heard the chime of the system. Target's favorability has increased by 5 points. It's working! Tio Quan Lam, seeing his insignificant brother stealing the spotlight, sneered. "Ninth brother, if you're so eager to stand out, don't blame me for making things difficult for you." He turned to Nin Hong Da with a facade of magnanimity. "General Min, I've heard you were wounded on the frontier, that you lost your left eye. My ninth brother, Tiodong, was born with a pair of celestial Ling Ninhan, spirit eyes, that can perceive the boundary between yin and yang. If they were transplanted to you, General, you would surely regain your sight." It was a monstrous suggestion, a casual offering of his brother's body parts, as if he were carving a piece of meat. Nin Hong Da's head snapped towards Tio Quan Lam, her fury palpable. "You would have me gouge out his eyes? I, Nin Hong Da, earn my victories with my own strength. Even with one eye, I can slaughter 10,000 enemies. I need no one's charity." Tiodong's other brothers chimed in, their words dripping with false concern.
"First brother, that's too cruel. How could ninth brother agree to such a thing?" one said. "Indeed, who would mutilate themselves for a woman they've just met?" another added, casting a pitying glance at Tiodong. Tiodong looked at Tia Quan Lam, the man who had tormented him his entire life, the man responsible for the circumstances of his mother's death. He saw the cold, calculating cruelty in his eyes, and in that moment he realized his fool of a brother had just handed him a golden opportunity. "You absolute idiot!" Tiodong fought, a savage glee rising within him. "You've played right into my hands." He turned to Ning Hong Da, his expression one of solemn sacrifice. "If my spirit eyes can help the general see again to better serve our nation on the battlefield," he declared, his voice ringing with conviction, "then I, Tiodong, am willing to offer them." He didn't wait for a reply. He reached up, his fingers digging into his own sockets. The pain was blinding, a searing agony that threatened to swallow his consciousness. But through the red haze, he heard the system's voice, a glorious, divine symphony. "Congratulations, host! First-time activation triggered a 10,000-fold return reward. Immortal King-level invincible heavy pupils." The world went black for a moment, then exploded into a new kind of sight. He could see the flow of energy in the room, the weaknesses in his brother's stances, the life force pulsing within Ning Hong Da. The system hadn't lied. He held out the bloody orbs in his hand. Ning Hong Da stared, speechless. For the first time, she was truly shaken. Why would you do this for me?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "For the system reward, of course," he thought. But he said, "General, these eyes were nothing but wasted pearls on me. On you, they can be weapons to defend our home. If you truly wish to thank me, then kill a few more enemies on the battlefield." "Fine," she said,
her voice thick with an emotion he couldn't decipher. "I agree. Favorability of Ning Hongda has increased by 5 points. Total 10 points." She stepped forward and took the eyes. Then, in a move that shocked everyone, she unclasped a golden talisman from her belt. "I do not like being in anyone's debt," she declared. "You gave me eyes, I will give you this tiger seal. It can command the soldiers of the Vermilion Bird Army, and I will grant you 3 wishes. For the rest of my life, I will fulfill them." Tio Quan Lam's eyes widened in greed. "The tiger seal is a national treasure. How can you give it away so easily?" Ning Hongda's new eyes, Tio Dong's old eyes, swiveled to him. A chilling pressure emanated from her. "First Prince," she said coldly, "would you like to test if my new eyes can clearly see the artery in your neck?" Tio Quan Lam paled and fell silent. At that exact moment, the heavens themselves seemed to respond to Tio Dong's transformation. A purple key surged from the east, rolling across the sky. The air filled with auspicious signs. 5 colored clouds, golden lotuses blooming from thin air, the phantom roar of a Qilin. 9 distinct celestial phenomena manifested over the Tranbuk King's mansion. 9 phenomena, someone gasped. When the founding emperor of Great Sha was born, there were only 5. This is unprecedented in 1,000 years. The Tranbuk King stared at the sky, his eyes wide. He turned to his eldest son, Tio Quan Lam, who was glowing with a faint golden light. "Quan Lam, was that you? Did you have a breakthrough?" Tio Quan Lam, though confused by the scale of the phenomena, seized the opportunity. "Yes, father, I relied on my supreme bone to break through to the 2nd level of the Diamond Realm." The king was ecstatic. "My son, your talent surpasses even the founding emperor. From this day forward, your cultivation resources will be doubled. You will have free access to the 9-story armory." Tio Dong watched this from the side, a faint smile on his lips. His new eyes, the invincible heavy pupils, were already awakening their divine abilities. He could see through illusions, perceive the weaknesses of all things. His brother had claimed his miracle, but Tio Dong knew the truth. The real dragon was not the one preening in the spotlight, but the one hiding in the shadows, waiting for his moment to strike. That night, under the guise of celebrating the engagement, Tio Quan Lam convinced their father to order Tio Dong and Ning Hongda to consummate their marriage immediately. It was a petty, malicious move meant to humiliate his brother by forcing him into the bed of a monster. Tio Dong arrived at Ning Hongda's courtyard to find her guard, a fierce woman named Thong Lon, blocking his path. "Don't think a few flattering words in the daytime makes you worthy of our general," she sneered. "I'm here today."
"You won't get near her." From within, Ning Hongda's voice emerged, cool and distant. "Tio Duong, while I have agreed to this marriage, I have just returned from a campaign, and my body is unwell. It is not convenient to complete the ceremony tonight." "Of course," Tio Duong said smoothly, showing no hint of disappointment. "This was all my eldest brother's doing anyway." He held up a package. "I noticed the general's armor was damaged. This is the Golden Qilin light armor, a gift from my father. It can withstand a bolt from a black iron crossbow. I have no use for it, so I thought I would give it to you." There was a pause. Then, "I accept. Thank you. System return. 100-fold reward. Emperor-grade Myria Dragon Black Scale armor." The system's reward was instantaneous, but her favorability hadn't increased. He realized that conquering this woman would require more than just expensive gifts. He had to reach her heart. Hong Da, he said, using her given name for the first time. Since we are engaged, shouldn't we be honest with each other? Why don't you take off your mask and let me see? The temperature in the courtyard plummeted. The last man who tried to remove my mask, Thong Lan, hissed, is still hanging from the city gates of the southern wastes. General Ning, Tio Duong said, his voice softening, you promised me 3 wishes. Surely you won't go back on your word for something as small as this. There was a long, tense silence. Then the door creaked open. Come in. He entered her private chambers. She stood by the window, her back to him. With a deep breath, she slowly reached up and unclasped the demonic mask. As she turned, the candlelight caught her features, and Tio Duong felt the air leave his lungs. The system hadn't just been right, it had been criminally understated. Rumors of scars and disfigurement were the cruelest of lies. Her face was a masterpiece of creation, a flawless sculpture of jade and snow. Her beauty was not just nation-toppling, it was otherworldly, divine. He was so stunned he could only utter the lines of a half-remembered poem from his old world. A beauty in the south, peerless and standing alone. One glance and she overthrows a city. A second glance and she overthrows a nation. She tilted her head, a hint of curiosity in her eyes. I have never heard that poem. Did you compose it yourself? She saw the genuine awe in his expression, untouched by greed or lust. Hong Da, he breathed, you are a celestial beauty. Why would you hide behind a mask of a Tula? A shadow passed over her perfect features. First, she said, her voice low, a face like this brings too much trouble in the capital. Second, that foolish emperor wanted to take me as his concubine. I, Ning Hong Da, have reached where I am today through my own merit, not my appearance. She looked at him, her gaze intense. So, I ask you to keep this a secret. Of course, he promised. As he turned to leave, a thought struck him. Why was she so good to him? Why did she accept his gifts and defend him? He has no ulterior motives, does he? Ning Hong Da mused to herself after he left. Or is it part of a larger scheme? She turned to her guard. Thong Lan, I want you to watch him, investigate him. Meanwhile, Tio Duong was examining his new armor, the Myriad Dragon Black Scale armor, a true treasure. He felt power thrumming through his veins. The 9 Suns Dragon Scramble is a battle to the death, he thought, his eyes hardening. This time, I will not retreat. Tio Quan Lam, let's start with you. The next day, he confronted his eldest brother. Brother, you still have a relic my mother left me, the 9 Revolutions Great Return Pill. Can you return it to me now? Tio Quan laughed in his face. A waste like you? Using such a treasure would be a desecration. But fine, if you want it, you'll have to earn it. He proposed a spar, a thinly veiled excuse to beat his brother to a pulp. If you win, I'll give you the pill. If you lose, you will use your own clothes to wipe the floor clean for me. The terms are unfair, the new servant said. Hoang Li protested. It's fine, Tio Duong said, his calm infuriating his brother. How about this? I will stand here and not move. You can hit me with 1 punch. If I take even a single step back, I lose. The onlookers, including his other brothers, gasped. It was suicide. Tio Quan Lam was a Diamond Realm cultivator, powered by his supreme bone. Tio Duong was, as far as they knew, a weakling in the body-tempering realm. You're courting death, Tio Quan Lam roared, pleased. He unleashed his signature technique, the Tiger's Roar Fist, channeling the power of his supreme bone. The air crackled as his fist shot towards Tio Duong's chest. There was a deafening boom, but it wasn't Tio Duong who went flying.
It was Tio Quan Lam, who was thrown backward as if struck by a battering ram, coughing up a mouthful of blood. Tio Duong stood exactly where he had been, not having moved an inch. His new invincible heavy pupils had seen the flaw in the attack, the precise point where the energy was weakest. He had simply met it with a subtle pulse of his own internal force. What trick did you use?" Tio Quan Lam sputtered, scrambling to his feet in disbelief. "You cheated!" "My apologies, eldest brother," Tio Duong said, his voice laced with mock sympathy. "I never imagined the great dragon of the Tio family would be so impotent." Enraged, Tio Quan Lam was about to attack again, but Tio Duong held up a hand. "The match is over, brother. The pill, I want to give it to Lady Ning." The mention of Ning Hongda was like a splash of cold water. Tio Quan Lam knew he couldn't afford to antagonize the female demon. Scowling, he threw a small box at Tio Duong. "Take it." Tio Duong caught it and turned away. "Mother," he thought, his heart a cold, hard knot of resolve. "The debts these people owe us, I will collect them, one by one." He went straight to Ning Hongda's courtyard. "This pill is a gift for you," he said, presenting it, "an engagement present." She was taken aback. She had heard about the confrontation, how he had used her name as leverage, but to then give her the very treasure he had fought for. "The golden Qilin armor was already a significant gift," she said, flustered. "This is too much." "I made a promise to the deceased," he said simply. "This pill was meant for my future wife. A true man cannot go back on his word. Besides," he added mentally, "how else am I supposed to trigger the system?" She looked at him, at the sincerity in his gaze, and felt a strange warmth spread through her chest. On the battlefield, she was a goddess of death, feared by enemies and respected by allies. But no one had ever looked at her with such simple, unadorned kindness. No one had ever loved her. She accepted the pill. System return. Emperor-grade high-rank yin-yang creation pill. Can reverse one's constitution and is equivalent to 100 years of arduous cultivation. A servant entered and whispered in her ear. Ning Hongda dismissed her. "Feng Lan, you may leave us." Once they were alone, her demeanor changed. She looked at him, her eyes searching his. The spirit eyes, the armor, this pill. "Why are you being so good to me?" He smiled. "You are my wife. Why must we distinguish between what is mine and what is yours? You should smile more. You're beautiful when you do." "Smile?" A bitter laugh escaped her. "I have forgotten how." She took a deep breath. "You've heard the stories about me killing my father. Rumors are not always the truth," he said gently. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "It is the truth," she confessed, her voice breaking. "I did kill him, but at that time, he was possessed by a demon. He was slaughtering his own guards. I had no choice." She told him the whole story. The Emperor's mad quest for immortality, the expedition to the borderlands, the cursed artifact that had twisted her father's soul. "If I reveal the truth, my father's reputation will be ruined, and the Emperor will have me executed. So I bear the sin." He listened, his heart aching for her. This fearsome general was carrying a burden that would crush any lesser person. "When my wounds heal," she declared, a fierce light returning to her eyes, "I will raise an army and rebel. That fattest emperor caused the death of my father and my soldiers. I will dye the imperial palace red with his blood." She looked at him, expecting fear or condemnation. "If you are afraid, you may leave now." He did not flinch.
Instead, he stepped closer. "The heavens are dead. A new heaven must be established," he said, his voice resonating with a power she had never heard from him before. "Why can't a woman be emperor? I swear, I will be your vanguard." She stared at him, her heart hammering against her ribs. He understood. He truly understood her pain, her ambition, her rage. He wasn't just accepting her, he was joining her. "If I become emperor," she vowed, "I will name you the one-character side-by-side king. We will share this empire together." Favorability of Ning Hongda has increased by 10 points. Total 20 points. The favorability gain was immense. He finally understood. To win her heart, it wasn't about gifts. It was about sincerity. It was about seeing the woman behind the demon mask and standing by her side. Later that day, after taking the yin-yang creation pill, Tiao Duong felt a monumental shift within him. His cultivation skyrocketed from the 5th level of body tempering to the 3rd level of the Qi-Si realm. More importantly, his constitution transformed into the legendary, innate pure Yang Saint body.
The system also informed him that his attractiveness to the opposite sex had increased by 100%. He was contemplating this strange side effect when Tang Lon arrived. "The general says she has some gifts for you. Please follow me." He followed her to Ning Hongda's private bath chambers. Steam filled the air, and through the haze, he saw her form in the water. She was practicing a cultivation technique, completely nude, her body a vision of divine perfection. He was frozen, mesmerized. "Tiao Dong?" she said, turning. Her eyes widened in shock. "What are you doing here?" "Tang Lon, she said you had something for me," he stammered, his face burning. "She must have misheard. I told her to bring them to you." Suddenly, her face contorted in pain, and she coughed up a mouthful of dark black blood. "Hongda!" he cried, rushing to her side. "It's nothing," she gasped, clutching her chest. "An old wound from the outer wars. Demonic qi. It flares up from time to time." She gave a weak, ironic laugh. "A great general like me, needing a pure yang object to dispel it. It's ridiculous, isn't it?" I am a pure Yang Saint body," he said hesitantly. "Perhaps I can help you, but I would need to channel my pure Yang internal energy into your meridians. It would require contact." She looked at him, her gaze vulnerable. After a moment, she nodded. "Enter the water." He did as she asked, his heart pounding. He placed his hands on her back, feeling the silken texture of her skin. He closed his eyes, focusing, channeling the potent yang energy from his body into hers. The demonic qi within her writhed, fighting back. She let out an involuntary moan, a sound so alluring it nearly shattered his concentration. "Focus, Tiao Dong, this is just healing," he told himself. But the intimacy of the moment was overwhelming. He could feel her warmth, hear her soft breathing, smell the fragrance of her hair. The air was thick with a tension that had nothing to do with healing. "It's enough," she finally whispered, her voice hoarse. He pulled back, his hands trembling slightly. "My apologies, Lady Nin," he said formally, trying to regain his composure. Did it drain your essence?" she asked, her concern genuine. "No, I'm fine." He climbed out of the pool, trying not to look at her. "Wait," she said. "On the table, there is a manual. It is the heirloom Thunderblade technique of the Ning family. Take it. It's for you." Ding! Favorability of Ning Hongda has increased by 5 points. Total 25 points. He took the manual and fled, his mind in a turmoil of emotions he couldn't begin to unravel. His growing power and influence did not go unnoticed. His fourth brother, Tiao So-thong, a cruel and petty man, took his frustrations out on Tiao Dong's servants.
He had his concubine falsely accuse Huang Lai of theft and had her and another loyal servant beaten, breaking the man's arm. When Tiao Dong heard, a cold rage settled over him. "He dared to touch my people," he said, his voice dangerously low. He strode to the fourth prince's courtyard and found him and his sneering concubine terrorizing the staff. "Stop," Tiao Dong commanded. The concubine, a woman from the eastern extreme island, turned on him. "You waste! You dare to defy the fourth prince!" She sidled up to him, her body language suggestive. "Ninth prince, I know my error. Don't be angry with me. Perhaps you could ride me once? As punishment?" "You shameless harlot," spat. "You are not mistaken," Tiao Dong said, his eyes like ice. "You are simply about to die. Slap yourself 100 times." "Who dares touch my people?" Tiao Sothong roared, stepping forward. "Ninth brother, your audacity grows. Kneel and apologize, or hand over that golden Keelan armor, and I might forgive you." "Your concubine bullies my servants without your instruction?" Tiao Dong countered calmly. "Today she accuses my servant of stealing a pin. Tomorrow will she accuse your mother of adultery?" "Bastard, you dare insult my mother!" Tiao Sothong bellowed and lunged. But Tiao Dong, now a Qi Sea realm expert, easily sidestepped him. Infuriated, his brother summoned his personal guards, elite assassins from the eastern extreme island. Tiao Dong felt a hand on his shoulder. It was Ning Hong Da. She had followed him. "Just watch," she whispered. "I trust you." Faced with a dozen assassins, Tiao Dong didn't even draw a weapon. He simply held up the tiger seal she had given him. "This is the tiger seal of the Vermilion Bird Army," he announced, his voice booming. "It commands 300,000 troops. Fourth brother, if you make a move today, I guarantee the Vermilion Bird Army will raze your eastern extreme island fiefdom to the ground." The assassins froze. Tiao Sothong's face went white. The tiger seal was a symbol of absolute military authority.
He had overplayed his hand. "Ninth brother," he stammered, his bravado gone. "We can talk about this." "I hear you recently acquired a fine horse," Tiao Duong said coolly. "I think that would make for suitable compensation." Defeated, Tiao Sothong had no choice but to hand over his prized steed, a magnificent royal tribute horse capable of running 1,000 miles in a day. Tiao Duong, in turn, immediately offered it to Ning Hong Da. "I don't need it," she refused. "I have my own horse, Chasing Wind. We have been through countless battles together." Just then, a soldier ran up, his face pale with panic. "General, General, it's terrible! Chasing Wind, some of the centurions, they've captured it and are roasting it for a feast." Ning Hong Da's body went rigid. A murderous aura exploded from her as she raced towards the barracks, Tiao Duong right behind her. They found a group of officers, drunk and laughing, carving up the carcass of her beloved horse. "Bold!" Ning Hong Da's voice was a low growl, vibrating with suppressed fury. One of the men, a grizzled commander named Hua Kuang, stood up, unafraid. "Ning Hong Da," he slurred, "this horse was a gift from the old general, but you committed patricide. You are a disgrace to his name and unworthy of commanding the Vermilion Bird Army. You are unworthy of the name Ning." "Insolent dog!" she roared, about to strike him down. "Stop," Tiao Duong said, stepping in front of her. He turned to the drunk soldiers, his eyes blazing. "You are not just insulting the commander of the Vermilion Bird Army," he said, his voice ringing with authority. "You are insulting my woman, Tiao Duong's woman. Even if the Heavenly King himself came down, no one is allowed to harm her." Ding! Favorability of Ning Hong Da has increased by 5 points. Total, 30 points. Hua Kuang, a 5th-level Diamond Realm expert, scoffed.
And who are you, boy? This is a military affair. According to Army rules, disputes are settled on the life and death platform. I accept, Tio Duong said, without hesitation. On the platform, Hua Kuang sneered. I am a 5th-rank martial artist. My Thunderblade technique has reached the state of perfection. I will not bully you. I will give you the first 3 moves. No need, Tio Duong replied calmly. I'm afraid if I attack, you'll fall immediately. Using his invisible heavy pupils, he had already analyzed and improved upon the very technique she had given him. He drew a simple blade. The air around him crackled with a power far greater than lightning. It was the perfect version, the Thunder Prison world-ending blade. Hua Kuang attacked, but his perfected blade art was like a child's toy compared to Tio Duong's. With a single, fluid motion, Tio Duong disarmed him and held the blade to his throat. The entire barracks fell silent. Why don't you kill me? Hua Kuang gasped, defeated. The Green Mountains are a fitting tomb for a loyal man. Your final resting place should be the battlefield, not here. Go. Hua Kuang stared at him, then at Ning Hongda, his eyes filled with a newfound respect. He dropped to one knee. 9th Prince, it was I, Huak, who was disrespectful. From this day forward, I am willing to atone for my sins on the battlefield. Later, Ning Hongda looked at him, amazed. That Thunderblade technique, I just gave it to you. How could you master it and even improve upon it so quickly? He grinned. If you call me husband, I might just teach you. She blushed and turned away. The horse, you must accept it now. He did, and the system immediately rewarded him with a far greater prize, an Emperor-grade high-rank spirit beast, the void-stepping black dragon Qilin. His actions sent shockwaves through the royal mansion. His brothers, once dismissive, now saw him as a threat. The 2nd Prince, a scholar and a schemer, invited him to a poetry gathering, hoping to humiliate him. He dangled a rare military treatise, the Ngak Vo Bing Thu, as bait. At the gathering, Tio Duong's refined modern looks and confident demeanor immediately drew the attention of the guest of honor, Dien Nhu Nuc, hailed as the most beautiful woman in the Northern Territories. She was ethereal, a fairy descended to the mortal realm. But Tio Duong's system gave him a curious insight into her. Essence of extreme yin, born with a seductive physique. Weakness, soft body, easy to push down. He brushed the strange analysis aside as Dien Nhu Nuc approached him, ignoring the fuming 2nd Prince. Greetings, young master. May I know your name? Before he could answer, the 2nd Prince hurried over.
Lady Dien, you've arrived. Why are you with my 9th brother? So you are the 9th Prince, Tio Duong, she said, her beautiful eyes sparkling with interest. The poetry contest began, with each scholar composing verses to praise Dien Nogak's beauty. The 2nd Prince delivered a competent, if uninspired, poem. Then it was Tio Duong's turn. I am a crude man, not skilled in poetry, he demurred. Just compose one poem, his brother insisted, holding up the military treatise, and this ancient book is yours. If the 9th Prince is willing to compose a poem for me, Dien Nogak added, her voice like music, I will play the flute to accompany you. Tio Duong sighed theatrically. Very well. He thought for a moment, then recited another classic from his past life. Her robe is a cloud, her face a flower. The spring wind brushes the balustrade, thick with morning dew. If not seen on the peak of Jade Mountain, then met under the moonlight at the marble terrace. The room fell silent, stunned by the sheer beauty and elegance of the verse. It was a masterpiece that instantly overshadowed everything that had come before. 9th Master, Dien Nogak said,
Her cheeks flushed. "Thank you for the poem." "You misunderstand, my lady," Tio Duong said, taking the treatise from his stunned brother's hand. "That poem was not for you. It was for my wife, Ning Hung Da." Outside, hidden in the shadows, Ning Hung Da, who had come to see what he was up to, heard his words. A complex mix of emotions washed over her: jealousy, pride, and a strange, fluttering warmth. The second prince, humiliated, accused him of plagiarism. To prove himself, Tio Duong, fueled by wine, composed poem after poem on the spot, each a timeless classic that left the scholars breathless and ashamed. Later that night, he took the military treatise to Ning Hong Da. "I got this for you." She took the book, her fingers brushing his. He hid himself for so many years, plotting something great, she thought. Yet for me, he is willing to reveal his talent so early. Ding! Favorability of Hong Da has increased by 5 points. Total, 35 points. He then presented her with a protective talisman he had won from the second prince. This is from the abbot of the Tianlong temple. She smelled it and her brow furrowed. "Why does this smell of another woman's perfume?" "Perfume? You must be mistaken," he said, quickly backing away. "It's late. I should go." Ding! Favorability of Ning Hong Da has decreased by 5 points. Total, 30 points. He cursed under his breath. A woman's heart was truly as deep and unpredictable as the ocean. His troubles weren't over. Dia Nugak, utterly smitten, showed up at his residence, offering him a piece of jade she was born with, a symbol that she had chosen him as her fated one. Not wanting to be entangled, but also not wanting to be rude, he gave her another poem and accepted her gift, which the system promptly turned into a powerful martial arts scroll, the Great Desolate Prison Finger. His enemies, however, were not idle. Tio Quan Lam, furious at his brother's rise, conspired with the fourth prince. They invited Tio Duong and Ning Hong Da to a banquet, which was nothing more than an ambush. They tried to intimidate him, to bribe him, and when that failed, they tried to poison him. A poisoned dart flew towards him, but Ning Hong Da, in a flash, moved to block it for him. He pulled her back, and the dart struck him instead. "Tio Duong!" she screamed. But he was fine. The yin-yang creation saint body he possessed instantly neutralized the poison. "I told you," he said, looking into her terrified eyes, "I am your man. I won't let anyone harm you." Favorability of Ning Hong Da has increased by 10 points. Total, 40 points. The fourth prince, Tio So Thung, panicked and attacked with his ultimate defense, the Golden Bell Shield. But Tio Duong's invincible heavy pupils saw its single fatal weakness, a pressure point 3 inches below his navel. With a single, precise finger strike, Tio Duong shattered his brother's defense and his cultivation, crippling him. The act brought the fury of the Tron Ba King down upon him. Hauled before his father, Tio Duong was accused of heinous crimes. But he brilliantly turned the tables, framing his actions as defending his father's honor and the family's reputation from his reckless brothers. He concluded by volunteering to go to the southern border to fight barbarians and wash away his sins. His father, impressed, and seeing a way to use his son's newfound strength, not only forgave him, but rewarded him.
Tio Zung also cleverly manipulated his eldest brother, Tio Quan Lam, into giving up the deed to a valuable piece of property, the Cloud-Top Heavenly Palace, in front of their father. The king then announced the formal ancestor worship ceremony for Tio Zung and Ning Hong Da, a final step before their official wedding. It would be a grand affair, attended by the powerful regent princess, Fu Zhao. During the ceremony, Tio Quan Lam and his allies saw their chance.
According to ancestral law, one must show their true face when paying respects to the ancestors, he declared. Ning Hongda is still wearing her mask. This is an insult. They pressed her, demanding she unmask, eager to see the hideous face of the monster and humiliate Theozung. Ning Hongda looked at Theozung, a silent question in her eyes. He gave her a reassuring nod. She turned to him. "You are my husband. You may remove it for me." He reached up and gently unclasped her mask. A collective gasp swept through the hall. The legendary beauty of Den Yungook paled in comparison to the divine visage revealed before them. She was not a monster. She was a goddess. Theo Quan Lam stared, his jaw slack, his heart filled with a poisonous cocktail of regret, lust, and envy. This beauty, this power, the 300,000 troops of the Vermilion Bird Army, this should have all been mine. He lost all reason. "There has been a misunderstanding," he shouted, appealing to the regent princess. "His Majesty originally betrothed her to me. I asked Ninth Brother to take my place as a temporary measure. I asked the princess to decree that she be wed to me." The crowd murmured. It was the most shameless display they had ever witnessed. "Eldest prince," the princess said, her voice dripping with amusement. "Was it not you who knelt before your father and swore you would rather die than marry the patricidal demoness?" Theo Quan Lam ignored her, turning to Ning Hongda. "I possess the supreme bone. I am the one who triggered 9 celestial phenomena. Marrying me is your best choice." "Piss off," she replied, her voice filled with utter contempt. "Theozung," he roared, his face purple with rage. "How can you compare to me? I challenge you to a duel. The winner gets to marry Hongda and become the heir of the Tranback king." "I agree," Theozung said calmly. "But if I win, you will hand over your supreme bone. I will use it as a betrothal gift for Hongda." "Done," Theo Quan Lam screamed, sealing his fate. The duel was set for 2 months' time. In the weeks that followed, Theozung and Ning Hongda grew even closer. She used her own lifeblood to create a potent elixir to boost his cultivation. He, in turn, personally taught her the intricacies of his perfected Thunderblade technique in the quiet intimacy of their courtyard. Their relationship had transformed from a strategic alliance into a deep and genuine bond. Theo Quan Lam, however, was not idle. He used his influence with his mother, a consort from the powerful Medicine King Valley, to cut off all supplies of medicinal herbs to Theozung, hoping to stunt his growth. He even poisoned the 300,000 soldiers of the Vermilion Bird Army with a slow-acting toxin. But Theozung's system and his growing network of allies proved superior. He easily procured an antidote and, using a pseudonym, partnered with a local pharmacy to mass-produce emperor-grade pills, breaking the Medicine King Valley's monopoly and earning a fortune. Den Yungook, still deeply in love with him, gifted him a blood-colored battle token, which granted him access to the sacred martial temple. There, Theozung faced a trial of will. He refused to kneel before the statue of the martial saint, an act of defiance that no one had ever attempted. Instead of being destroyed, his unyielding spirit was recognized. The accumulated martial luck of the Great Sha dynasty, an energy that had been dormant for 800 years, surged into him. The legendary Great Sha Dragon Sparrow Saber, a blade that only recognizes a true sovereign, flew from the imperial palace and presented itself to him. He had not only gained a massive power boost, but also acquired a second Ment Gok, martial proliferation under heaven. His name appeared on the heavenly ranking, a list of the most powerful beings in the realm, shaking the entire empire. The duel approached. Theo Quan Lam, growing desperate, sought help from a powerful outsider, Dong Fi, the arrogant saint son of the ancient emperor clan, a sect from a higher realm. Dang Fi, intrigued by the rumors of Ning Hongda's beauty and contemptuous of the mortals of this world, agreed to help. He and his monstrous executioner, the Heavenly Blade Butcher, went to the Vermilion Bird Army's barracks to seize Ning Hongda. They were met by Tiao Zeng. A furious battle ensued.
Tiao Zeng, wielding his new saber and perfected techniques, killed the Heavenly Blade Butcher in a single stunning strike. He then faced Dang Fi himself. The Saint's son, though powerful, was wounded and humiliated by Tiao Zeng's mysterious and overwhelming power, forcing him to retreat in disgrace, swearing vengeance. The event was witnessed by the regent princess, who had arrived to intervene but found Tiao Zeng had already handled the situation, further deepening her fascination with him. The day of the final duel arrived. The entire capital gathered to witness the showdown. Tiao Quanlam, his confidence bolstered by a secret technique given to him by Dang Fi and a forbidden blood rage pill from his mother, strode onto the stage, radiating power. "Tiao Zeng," he bellowed, "I have broken through to the 6th level of the mountain-toppling realm. I have the destiny of a true dragon emperor. Today is the day you die." Tiao Zeng appeared, calm and composed. The fight began. Tiao Quanlam unleashed a torrent of attacks, his power amplified to monstrous levels. But Tiao Zeng met him with ease. Every move his brother made, every secret technique, Tiao Zeng saw through it. The so-called true dragon destiny was a sham. With a final decisive move, Tiao Zeng broke through his brother's defenses and placed a hand on his chest. "Brother," he said calmly, "your supreme bone, I'm taking it." He ripped the glowing bone from his brother's body. Tiao Quanlam screamed in agony and defeat. "You? How is this possible?" Tiao Zeng held up the bone. "A pity. It seems you've laced it with a deadly poison, meant for Hong Da should you lose." He turned to the crowd, his voice booming. "My brother dared to poison my wife. For that, he must die." He crushed the bone in his hand, and then, before anyone could react, ended his brother's life. He then turned his cold gaze to Tiao Quanlam's mother. "You conspired with him, and years ago, you caused my mother's death. It's time to settle that debt as well." With the authority of the new heir, he had her executed for her crimes. He had avenged his mother and purged the family of its rot. Standing over the bodies of his enemies, he loved at the assembled nobles, at the regent princess, at the entire world. Does anyone else have an objection? Silence. The regent princess stepped forward, her eyes shining with ambition and desire. "Tiao Zeng, you truly are the one I have chosen. The emperor is a fool. Marry me, and I will help you ascend the throne as the new emperor." It was an offer of absolute power, the culmination of any man's dream. But Tiao Zeng simply smiled and looked at the woman standing beside him. "Princess, your kindness is appreciated," he said. He then turned to Ning Hongda, his voice filled with a love and devotion that silenced the entire city. "But I have already pledged myself." He drew the Dragon Sparrow saber. "The Medicine King Valley harmed my wife. They will be annihilated. The entire Tiao clan will support Ning Hongda as the new sovereign of the 4 northern prefectures." He revealed the full truth of her father's death, washing away the stain of patricide and turning her into a tragic hero in the eyes of the people. The crowd, moved by his words and her story, roared their approval. The nobles, seeing the tide turn, knelt in submission. "We pledge our lives to follow King Tiao and General Ning." The old dynasty fell. A new one rose from its ashes. Days later, Empress Ning Hongda stood on the battlements of the imperial palace, looking out over the city that was now hers. Diao Yang came to stand beside her. "It's all thanks to you, Diao Yang," she said softly, leaning her head on his shoulder. "It's tiring being an emperor," he grinned. "All those meetings and documents. I think I'd rather be a kept man." She laughed, a sound of pure joy. "If you do not wish to be emperor, you can be my prince regent and help me rule." "Even more tiring," he complained. "Dealing with all those old foxes in court? No, I have a better idea." He pulled her close, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Let's have a child. When they grow up, we'll just dump all this work on them and travel the world together. How does that sound?" She looked up at him, her eyes once filled with the coldness of 1,000 winters, now overflowing with warmth and love. "It sounds perfect," she whispered. He was the useless 9th prince who had been reborn from the ashes of another life. She was the feared demoness who bore a world of sorrow behind a mask. Together, they had defied their fates, conquered an empire, and found in each other a love that could topple nations and build new worlds.
Their story was not just one of revenge and conquest. It was the story of two broken souls who had found their home not in a palace or on a throne, but in each other's arms. Ding! Favorability of Ning Hongda has increased by 10 points. Current favorability, 100 points. Target conquest successful. All future rewards will trigger a 10,000-fold critical return.
If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to the later update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end, and see you in the next video.